Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you a bit more in depth my process and how I paint my oil portraits. And yeah, as you can see, I usually start priming the whole surface with a neutral color. I use my biggest brush for this, and I love this way of starting my portraits because first of all I get rid of that white intimidating canvas, and by starting with big and confident brush strokes I feel like I kind of set up the mood that I want for the rest of the session. After I prime my canvas, then I start a rough sketch of the main features of the face. I do it directly with oil paint because it's what feels more natural and spontaneous for me. I pretty much eyeball everything, but that's how I feel more comfortable painting. That's what feels more fun for me. And honestly, having fun while painting is such an important part for me and for my process. So I always try to find the ways that I can paint that not only bring the best result or the result that is closer to what I like, but also what is more enjoyable for me to do. So if I have to do a grid and take the measurements and do a charcoal sketch first, those things I don't enjoy that much. So it's probably gonna be harder for me to just sit on the chair and paint. So I try to make it as enjoyable as possible for me. So if I know I'm gonna dive in with paint directly, I'm way more excited to start my portrait. So as an advice, just analyze what you enjoy doing the most and try to adapt your painting to that as long as it brings you the result that you want. So after the sketch, I start applying some of the darkest darks and I mix them with a bit of ultramarine blue, and then I take my biggest brush again and go in with the brightest colors. I like to start applying color with the big brush because it allows me to make confident brush strokes and cover bigger areas with paint in a shorter amount of time, because I've also noticed that painting kind of fast also makes me be more expressive and connects me more with the intuition that if I'm caught up in the details. And that's another thing that I love about applying color with the big brush, that you can literally not get lost in the details. And that's what I want. Like in this first stage of the painting, I just want to get the impression of the face, the main values, the main tones, and I don't want to be concerned about the small details. So by using the big brush, I make sure I keep myself expressive and focused on what I have to do now, that is the biggest areas. By the way, if you don't know yet, I'm painting one portrait every day for this year 2025. Today is day 78 of the challenge. So if you want to check that out or you want to follow along the process, you can check my YouTube channel, and also I'll leave my Instagram and TikTok accounts here. So yeah, you're more than welcome to join my journey in this crazy challenge that I started. After the main areas are already covered, then I take a medium brush and I start defining the features some more. One thing that I try to keep in mind is that if I apply a mix of color in a specific area, I try to apply it at least in another area in the face, just so I keep some consistency in the colors throughout the portrait. I'm also always thinking about exaggerating the colors. So if something is warm in the photo reference, I try to make it warmer. If something is saturated, I make it more saturated. And if something is cold, I make it colder. So I realized that makes my portraits also more expressive than if I just try to be very accurate with the colors of the photo reference. Something that I also try to do is never blend the paint on the canvas. I know a lot of painters do that, mostly if you're painting something more realistic. But since I go more for an expressive and modern impressionist type of style, for me blending just makes my paintings more bland and removes all the rhythm. I love my brushstrokes to be visible because they give texture and movement to the painting. And by not blending, I don't mean you cannot soften some edges, but just not make everything even. I want my brush strokes to be there. I want the viewer to be able to tell where my brush was and what movements I did with it. For me, it's way more interesting to watch a painting where I can see the brushstrokes, because I get lost in that and there's so much information there. And since I'm not trying to make something super realistic, super close to reality, I'm just trying to get an impression of the face and my interpretation of it. So I feel that's where my creativity and the artistic component comes in, and those decisions that I have to make that also differentiate my painting from a photograph. Notice that one of the first brushstrokes I did, which was applying this like bright pink on the ear, I kept it till the end because I loved it when I saw it there, and I feel it's like an accent to the painting that also matches the bright pink on the forehead, on the eyelids, on the nose, on the other ear, and it just makes the painting more alive and expressive for me. I would like to know what do you think about this painting and what emotion you see on his face, because I feel like he's judging us, which I find kind of funny that the painting is like judging the viewer. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in some kind of way. This is just the way I like to do things. It doesn't mean any of the things I said are like the truth. It's just, if it makes sense for you, great. If it doesn't, just don't listen to what I say. And yeah, I hope you like this portrait, and I'll see you tomorrow in my daily portraits videos. Bye!